Thousands of law enforcement jobs are open all over the state of Michigan, many of them right here in Metro Detroit. But local departments say they can't fill the slots. Fox News' Charlie Langton finds out why.
People don't want to be police officers.
Well, you know, I really have not figured that out yet.
But it seems to be true.
People don't seem to be really interested in going into the field of law enforcement or corrections.
And according to the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards, there are 4,000 vacant police officer jobs in the state. Why?
Every time you look on the media, there's something negative about what the police is doing, opposed to the many good things that the young men and women do here every day, on an average 16 hours a day.
Detroit police tell us that 200 positions are available right now. Wayne County Sheriff, about 100 vacancies, and the requirement to be a police officer is roughly the same in each city or county. You have to be 18, a U.S. citizen, have good eyes or wear glasses, be a good driver, have a high school diploma or the equivalent, and no trouble with the law. Well, let's go back to that media thing.
I don't know if it's just media. I think it's just, you know, public perception based upon media, TV, you know. I'm certainly not blaming the media, but the other side of it is, you know, you got to look at, you know, what's in it in terms of long-term benefits.
Benefits? Starting pay for a Detroit police officer, about $36,000 a year with benefits. Could be more in other cities. And here in Detroit, the chief has an innovative way of recruiting new officers.
Charlie, you know about the video. Almost 9 million views. I will tell you, our phones have been ringing off the hook for young people who now have said, you know, I want to become part of the Detroit Police Department because they're just like me.
Now, we're not saying every police department should start dancing, but the chief says that people just want honest cops, and then maybe they'll become honest cops.
They want to know that if you make a mistake, own it, take responsibility for it, and what are you going to do to improve upon it?
In Detroit, Charlie Langton, Fox 2 News.
Call a Crackhead slogan becomes reality as police begin hiring actual crackheads. Lowered standards for police officers now allows for former hardcore drug users like crack and heroin addicts to apply to become cops. Seriously. By Jack Burns, June 14, 2017. Attention all former cocaine, heroin, and marijuana users. Would you like a job as a police officer? As the Free Thought Project recently reported, states all across the union are lowering their standards for application and admission to become police officers. And now the mainstream media is picking up on the phenomena. According to the New York Times, the very agencies which, for 100 years or more, have locked people up for heroin, cocaine, and marijuana possession, are now courting former users to join their ranks. And the public is supposed to believe they're not lowering their already low standards. Yeah, right? It's already easier to become a police officer than it is to be a hairstylist. Now, police departments in metropolitan areas such as Chicago, Phoenix, and Detroit are getting desperate for new recruits. They're needing 1,000 officers in Chicago, 300 in Phoenix, and 200 in Detroit. Chicago, often called Chirac because more Americans die from murder there than in war zones around the world, has some of the strictest gun laws in the U.S. It's also suffering from a lack of confidence in policing and police leadership. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel fired Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy in 2015 after the shooting death of African-American Laquan McDonald by a white police officer set off a firestorm of controversy. The firing also had an unintended consequence. As reported by the Chicago Tribune, police stopped doing their jobs. Many resigned and relocated, creating the 1,000-member deficit in the ranks. In Phoenix, after a years-long battle with the Obama administration, Sheriff Joe Arpaio was voted out of office. Sheriff Joe, as he was known, was either loved or hated, but hardly anyone fell in between. He's retired now. And retiring with him are hundreds of more officers who were biding their time until retirement. The crisis is so bad, detectives are being reassigned as patrolmen. Detroit's issues may be more crime and economic related than simply not wanting to be an officer. Nevertheless, Detroit is seeking to fill hundreds of positions and have reported people simply aren't interested in becoming law enforcement officers. Now, apparently, police departments are getting so desperate, they're willing to cut corners and lower both physical and drug use requirements to attract more applicants. And the exacerbation is not limited to Phoenix, Chicago, and Detroit. The New York Times writes, New Orleans, with more than 400 openings, no longer automatically disqualifies those who have injected heroin or smoked crack. Aurora, Colorado, has stopped using military-style running tests, but now checks how quickly candidates can get out of a squad car. Here's a list of police department policy changes the Times documented. 1. Maryland changed its policy to allow for past drug use. 2. Louisville, Kentucky no longer requires 2 years of college credits. 3. New Orleans dropped its no prior recreational drug use rule, now allowing for marijuana outside of last 2 years, and harder drugs, like crack and heroin, no sooner than 10 years prior. 4. NYPD now allowing turbans, beards, and studs. Lowering the bar to allow drug use should come as no surprise given the fact that a federal court ruled police departments across the nation can discriminate against applicants who are too smart. This decision by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit to condone the ability of police departments to discriminate against smart people is one of the most profoundly ridiculous moves ever made. But it also tends to explain the state of police departments today. It is important to point out that there is absolutely nothing wrong with someone who used to use crack or heroin. Beating an addiction takes very strong resolve and an epic level of dedication. That being said, however, police departments actually hinder that road to recovery by treating addiction as a criminal act. It would take a true hypocrite to kick their habit without going to jail only to join the police department and throw people in jail for the very same thing. So, in essence, the slogan, "If you don't like police, next time call a crackhead," is now being taken seriously by law enforcement agencies all across the country. It could now be rewritten as "Crackheads wanted to become police officers, old rules no longer apply. No education necessary. Here's your badge and your gun." Instead of merely pointing out the idea that police are lowering their standards, it is also important to pose a solution to this problem. The overwhelming majority of police work these days consists of revenue collection through the enforcement of immoral drug laws and traffic citations for victimless crimes, like window tint. If police departments across the country turned their focus from revenue generation to crime prevention, America would need fewer cops and animosity between the police and the policed would drop, dramatically. To ignore the fact that the war on drugs is creating crime is a negligent and dangerous act. And, until it's brought to an end, we can only expect this problem to get worse. To learn how much better the situation in America can be by ending the drug war, check out our solutions page here.
Into law enforcement nowadays. And it's a nationwide trend. I've talked to sheriffs and police chiefs not only in the state but around the nation, and they're having problems hiring. We got a couple things working against us. Number one is when the economy is turning around, when it's doing well, a lot of people will go into the private sector because yes, you can make more money up front. And then secondly, everybody knows the anti-law enforcement sentiment that's been going on. So a lot of people aren't rushing into this profession. So we have that growth that we're trying to really... Yes?
Yes, I have two questions. Do you believe in free speech and the Constitution on your government-ran Facebook page?
Mr. Sheets, you know why you were banned. Do we have rules? You did not follow the rules.
All right.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have an easy question. In Florida, can a consumer buy Narcan at a pharmacy? I know in other parts of the country they've allowed.
There, I don't think you can yet in Florida, but I believe, if I remember correctly, there is a bill up in Tallahassee right now. So they're trying to get it passed.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Sheriff, why was this citizen banned from your Facebook website? What's that all about?
He didn't follow the rules.
What rules did he break?
They're posted on our Facebook page. You're more than welcome to read it.
You wouldn't be able to share
Anybody
with
else?
us? You wouldn't be able to share with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, my question was not...
I'm talking to her. Yes,
I asked you
ma'am.
a question. You work for me, sir.
I don't work for you.
Yes,
Ma'am.
you do. Why did you ban this citizen?
Ma'am, what's your
You
question?
can't answer the question, Sheriff?
I think it's been asked and answered.
Why is it, you know, your department is supposed to be keeping the peace, taking care of whatever. It doesn't seem right to me that you also have to take care of those who are mentally ill and those who are drug addicts. Why don't they open up a facility? I mean, you're going to have to hire more staff, and where are you going to put all these people? You said 60% between the...
Yeah.
That doesn't make
That's
sense.
what I'm telling you. That's been the question. Like I said, when the government can't seem to come up with answers, they push it off on us, and then it's up to us to try and figure it out.
Well, that's not right.
Yes, sir.
I noticed this past year, I haven't seen much in the paper about roadhouses, as far as finding roadhouses and shutting them down. Is that still a problem?
It's decreased a lot, and that's basically because some of the legalization that's been going on in other states. We are seeing a lot of it being imported from these other states. Right now, you know who your biggest trafficker is in drugs? The United States Postal Service.
Just a follow-up question. What about meth? How do you find meth operations?
Just a lot of good investigation. We get some tip work and all that stuff. So.
Especially for building it.
Yeah, they are very explosive. You got to be very careful with them. We do have some people on our staff that are specially trained to take them apart because they are very, very explosive. Ma'am, you had a question?
Oh yeah, to follow up on this immigration situation. If a Hispanic person were in an accident,
Can you speak just a little louder, please? We can really hear
if a
you.
Hispanic person, appearing person, were in an accident, it was clearly not their fault. Are you telling me that there would be no reason then that you would contact ICE?
No, I don't. We don't.
You don't what?
We don't contact ICE on that.
But I'll talk to you after.
Okay. Because remember, right now, we don't have the, it's the federal government's responsibility, and also they have jurisdiction over immigration. We as local law enforcement do not. So when we take somebody in on a local crime, local charges, we have custody of them and we will notify ICE. But yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards because I don't know what you're talking about.
Sheriff, I'd like to ask you another question.
No, sir. Anybody else?
My family and members of this crowd have went to war defending freedom and the right to
And I thank you for your service. Yes,
We'd
ma'am.
like you to answer the question.
My husband and I are snowbirds, and we're down here 6, 7, 8 months. We love it here, and we're very grateful to have a police station right in Inglewood now. Anyway, we're over in Rotunda, on Rotunda Circle, and we noticed last year, I think the speed limits were like 30, and now we came back this year, and I can't remember. Just when they were changed to 35, so now it's 35.
Yeah, that is up to the county. They set the speed limits. We don't. They usually come out and they have their engineers do studies with traffic and speed, and then they determine the proper speed. Because I also notice on Boundary they lowered the speed limit. Yes, that used to be 45.
And I noticed that this same thing, it's 30 miles an hour there, but I wondered why it was 30 there and 35 on our side, but if you don't have anything to do with it.
No, I don't have anything to do that. We don't. said it, we just enforce it.
How do we do as citizens in our...
You can reach out. You can reach out to your county commissioner. I don't know if you guys ever have Bill speak to you guys. Yeah, Bill Truex will come and speak to your group, but you can reach out to him individually, or you can invite him to one of these sessions like he did me and ask him to kind of give you an overview of the county and also voice your concerns. But either way, you can contact his office or.
Because our road is so narrow, and there are no
there's no sidewalks over there.
There's no place to walk. We do walk on the roads, but I mean we have to be off sometimes and let the traffic pass and so on.
So I never noticed they raised Rotunda Circle to 35 from 30.
They go 50, 60 through there. All the other
Okay. Well, I know we've been getting a lot of complaints of speeders over there, and I know Chris has been having his staff out there as much as we can. That's one of the biggest complaints we get countywide is regard to traffic. So. I'm sorry, Lieutenant Williams.
Oh, because Rotunda West, I mean, this has been going on for years. We'll advise you to call the police. So I don't think Truex is involved at all. I mean, give you a story, find out. He's not going to.
Well, when it comes to setting the speed limits, that is the county function. I have nothing to do with that. Now, I can make some recommendations to them, but they are going to do their studies and side with what their engineer says.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we are advised to call the police.
They're speeders, yes.
Well, yeah, with the speeders, you're absolutely right. That's what they're going to say, because that's what we do. We have to enforce that. So, yeah. No, and he will tell you that. Anybody else?
You have a question in the back. What are you afraid of, Sheriff? Why can't you answer all citizens?
All I'm going to ask is about intelligence of policing, that's all.
Here's the venue. American Legion Hall, people died and bled for free speech, and he's trying to restrict
Correct.
it. Please, wake up,
He
people.
answered the question. He didn't like his answer.
No, he works for us. He is supposed to answer all questions.
I'm asking about intelligence policing. What are you using for software and hardware?
Yeah, why don't you be civil, Sheriff, and answer the question? Why did you ban a citizen? Drop it. What are you afraid of, Sheriff?
Follow the directions, I'll say.
Who's got your tongue?
Intelligence policing, what are you using for software and hardware? That's all I'm asking.
We've got a lot of different
No, I'm
programs.
having it right here in this public meeting.
That's all I'm asking.
Try to force me
That's
out.
all I'm asking.
This is rude. You and he together is rude.
Yeah, and you're all on video.
This is supposed to be
denying
America.
Free speech.
So sue me.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
We thank you. I'm Al, President of Neighborhood Watch. I appreciate you all coming. I'm sure that some of you might have some additional questions. The sheriff might be around for a few minutes afterwards, but there are some refreshments in the back, and stay around and enjoy the refreshments, and thank you all for coming.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. American
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Please do.
I'm not going to tell you.
No free speech.
The agenda is free speech. Transparency in government. If a government official won't answer a question, why they ban a citizen, something's wrong. You got free speech.
That's not it.
Freedom.
That is not it.
Freedom. Have you ever heard of freedom?
I understand freedom. What's the freedom about?
This gentleman over here has been banned from posting on the Facebook page of Charlotte County Government Sheriff's Department.
Is he in violation of the rules?
I wanted to know. The sheriff refused to answer.
It's none of
That
our
was the
business.
question. Well, why wouldn't he answer the question? What's so difficult about the question?
What did you do on Facebook? What's the agenda? What is the problem?
We're in American Legion Hall. These men have died and bled for free speech.
I mean,
And
you
you
obviously
people trampled on.
Did you even serve? You don't look like it.
Couple of drinks. There's nothing better to do in your time.
Hey, Sheriff, we have a question about why your office, your intelligence division, is investigating private citizens for criminal investigation that happen to be activists that are overseeing your department. Why would you have your intelligence division investigate private citizens? We have done...
For life hating so much.
Sir, we don't hate anyone. We love freedom and we love American people. And government is out of control. That's why you're seeing such a revolt nationwide. Why can't you just answer, why is Susan Edwards, your intelligence division, investigating private citizens? This should not happen.
Are you here to apply for a job?
Possibly I might be applying for a job, but that's irrelevant to my question. Why would you ask that question?
Well, enjoy the fair.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Excuse you?
Excuse me, sir.
So those of you that haven't been on a bike before,
Sheriff's getting a little too pushy. You work for us, Sheriff. Just keep that in mind. At one time we respected you, but not with that type of attitude.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave let's say actually yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But you know, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, you know, at least I can do it. You know, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, you know, if I got, you know, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. You know, 47,000 of you so far right now. You know, $1 a day. I mean, $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.